This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising Air Force and community leaders who seek to define the future. Learn powerful work and life tactics to tackle any challenge. I'm your host, Gabriel Brock Avila. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Gabe Brock back on the mic once again. It's a celebration. It's a celebration this week because of, if you're tracking on the Air Force side, the recent announcements of the 06 boards have come, sort of the colonel board for the rank of 06 in the Air Force was released earlier this week. So I was able to send out a bunch of congratulatory notes. And so very, very proud of everybody who made it. Shout out to Regina Tate, Mary King, Kyle Grigo, fellow cyberspace officers that I know, and well-deserved making the rank of 06. And I didn't even hesitate. I said congratulations and immediately said, let me see your promotion recommendation form, though. I need to see what a new two-line one looks like because I'm hitting my board this year in July, actually. And the board got moved up. So we'll see exactly like how I fare. I'm actually in the zone for 06 this year. I think I said that in probably previous episodes. So we'll talk a little bit about that down the road, but just want to give an early shout out. So some of the math, just I looked at this stuff. So for the information warfare group, there's about 54.3% selection rate for everybody who is in the zone. And then for overall across the board, there is a 57.2%. So if you're eligible in the board, 57.2% of them made it. And so all I had to think about when I saw those math numbers, if those numbers stand to hold next year this year when I hit my board, and the selection rate is the same, I just have to be good enough more than half. Half is, I don't care if I'm 57.3%. I just need to be right above that cut line, and I can make the rank of a colonel. So that's always been a lifelong or a career-long goal for me, I should say, to make 06 ever since I was a butter bar back at Luke Air Force Base. I've always wanted to attain the rank of colonel. I had a lot of good ups and bad downs that led me to this path, but I'm looking forward to what's going to happen with my chances this year during the board. And so again, shout out to all the recent selectees for the rank of colonel. Congratulations. So on Monday of this week, I had some, I'm going to say up front, this episode, I'm potentially going to get into my emotions. A lot of times what happens is this podcast serves as a little cathartic for me. I need to kind of get some emotions, some thoughts, some ideas off my chest, off my mind, and then it culminates when I record this podcast episode. And I feel like this is going to be it, because on Monday I received some feedback, and I'm going to share this week exactly. I've done this before, either through my old blog Project Rise or on Constant Elevation, just like things going on in my career, because I think it's important just to share. I don't mind sharing my story, the goods and bads, because I think hopefully for the Air Force portion of the listening audience, you gather things to do, things not to do, potentially some thoughts and emotions going through your head as you're going through your career. And so feedback sessions are always one of those kind of events that, like, depending on how it goes, well, not depending on how it goes, you're going to react to it regardless. And so I had mine on Monday, and part of it was some feedback for my package going in for senior development education, so SDE, going to Air War College. So that's like a little bit further in the conversation. So I got called in the office, and so it was 3 parts of feedback I'm going to go over in this week's episode. First one. This one is the one that threw me off for a loop, to the point where I didn't know what to do with myself as I heard the words. The words were, "Hey Gabe, so before I get into this, I want to share some feedback for you. So the person who was talking to me, I personally did not believe in this thought, but there are multiple people, which infers there are 2, that believe you exhibit male chauvinist tendencies." I'm going to say that again. There are multiple people, meaning at least 2 people in the command that have seen you exhibit male chauvinist tendencies. So I'm like, what? I had to look it up. First of all, I had to go look up the definition of that. It's a male that's disparaging to women. And I'm like, what is happening? Where is this coming from? It's like, all I'm going to tell you is that it has been said out loud. I'm like, who is saying these words out loud? Why are these words I've had lots of words associated with me. Lots of words. Male chauvinism is not one of them associated with me. I have way too many things in my life. I conduct myself, and I pride myself in especially at work. I base in my relationship or my perspective on someone based on the merit of their capabilities, not nothing to do with their gender, what chromosomes they have or don't have, their race, religion, none of those things. That's the beauty. I've always thought of the beauty of being in the Air Force is I don't have to worry about those things because it's merit based. I respect the people that come to work and put in the work. And so I was floored. Right. And so I still am, to be honest. And that's why I'm saying like this, when I complete recording this episode, I'm going to put my thoughts and my feelings into the ether and then I'm going to move the fuck on because I can't let it dwell on me. So immediately I start trying to take an inventory and I'm like, what am I doing? So here's a couple things. Like when I would be, talking at a meeting or something like that, and especially like if the senior officers weren't in the room, I would say things like, all right, so amongst the action officer level, I'd be like, all right, so amongst those girls, we need to make sure we organize the task or email out something like that. Okay, I don't think that's male chauvinist behavior. Maybe somebody thinks it, but I don't think that's not the intent. It's a joke. It's just like, it's not gossipy. It's amongst us. We're talking like that. I just say amongst us girls. I don't know why. I think it's funny. And then a couple times I'll and most people who know me, I'll just kind of throw in random pieces of information. I'll be like, yeah, so they're trying to find the next OPR for this project and they're looking for a handsome FGO. So clearly I'm going to be the lead. And so like dumb stuff like that. It's always going to be self-deprecating. It's not, none of my behavior is based on trying to disparage women. And so I kept on thinking about it. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know what to do with this information. And so what I did was I immediately called, I was at work still. So I'm just figuring out what the fuck to do with this information. So what I did was I first called, I texted the wife. I was like, hey, we need to talk about something when I come home. Got it. And we're going to have a dinner conversation. Or not dinner. We had a conversation. But the first person I called a female former work colleague. She doesn't work at the headquarters anymore. And she moved on she works at Marfor Cyber now. And I was like, hey, do you mind talking to me real quick? Do you have a moment to chat? Yep. Called each other on the phone. I was like, hey, so this just happened. She's like, what are you saying? And I'm like, have you seen me exhibit any of those behaviors? And I'm like, she's like, no, of course not. And I'm like, I know, but somebody apparently more than two people, or at least two people have said those things. And now like this is in the ether and I don't know how to deal with it because I don't think I'm doing it, but I'm not an idiot. I will ask you as another female, do you think it's happening? And she's like, no, I have no idea where this is coming from. She was just as surprised as I was. And then that interaction with female colleagues happened 3 times since Monday till today. I've asked, I want to do a sanity check. I'm like, hey, I'm going to ask you. And the females that I work with are very strong-willed, very strong-minded, very good at their jobs, all the positive things. And they just happen to be females. Cool. And so I asked them because I was like, hey, I respect and trust you. I also respect and trust you that if you saw some of this behavior, you'd pull me on the side and like, hey, knock that shit off. Because I know they're strong enough like that. And all of them are. And they all said, they're like, yes, if I saw that happening, sir, I would go to you and tell you immediately. Some of them is sir, some of them was like civilians. Like, I would tell you that. And so I was like, good. There's sensors around me and my work environment that definitely would notice something. If I would, first of all, I don't exhibit this behavior, but if they did, I have a good positive teammate to tell me what's going on. I come home, talk to the wife. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I know, I've never heard those words associated with my work performance. And so what we kept on talking about it for a little bit. And then it came to a point where we're like, well, maybe they're using those words, but they don't actually mean that. Because that has a very distinct meaning, right? Male chauvinist. If you were to say Lieutenant Colonel is an asshole, he's pushy, he's stubborn, those all things have like maybe varying degrees as far as what that means. Because I could be, if someone says I am like focused or stubborn or something like that, is because I don't mind having direct conversations, like objective ones, to try and get to the bottom line of things. I'm not going to try and confront and start a fight unless it's needed, but like I don't try and do those confrontations, especially in public. I'll do them in the private to be like, hey, I think something is off, or I don't, there's a weird vibe going between us, and I don't mind having that professional conversation. And so, but maybe some people see that as being very abrupt because I don't like walk around the problem. I want to address it because it's a problem. And more than likely that problem is affecting it's more than just me and you. It is a bigger team effect that's happening, a negative effect. And I want to fix it because for the team, not for me. So some people just don't deal with those kind of situations. Even at my rank at Lieutenant Colonel, some people cannot have those conversations apparently. And so maybe they're saying male chauvinism, but they actually mean something else where like they just don't like the way I lead per se, which is, it's fine, but don't use those words. And so she was like, I think it's just this idea where there's a problem, but they don't know how to articulate it, so they just use those words. I was like, okay, that made sense to me. And I'll own exactly my personality and the good and bad that come along with that. I don't think I'm a negative team player. I've never been one of those kind of people to undercut everybody or just be stubborn unless it's for a very, very specific reason. And so I'm not writing it off because it's always been like a weird metric to never be that officer on the Air Force Times that ended up doing something stupid, that can't keep their stuff in their pants. Like, I'm never going to be that guy. So like, just make sure that you are conducting yourself accordingly. And again, I can't have those behaviors because I'm the same at home, at work, in the gym, all that kind of stuff, right? I just throw a sir and ma'am in there for the appropriate audience. I act the same, not kidding. And most people who work with me understand that. So if I was a male chauvinist, I wouldn't, in my head anyway, my wife would definitely not. I was like, do you guys know my wife? There's no way I could exhibit those tendencies and be married to my strong Italian wife. She'd kick the shit out of me. My daughter would also check me as well. She would immediately tell me, like, you're out of line if I was doing some sort of behavior like that. I'm surrounded by very strong-willed and strong-minded women at work who also, we respect each other. They give me that feedback. So I know I'm not doing this behavior because I would have too many sensors telling me something is wrong. So I'm not writing it off. As in, I know I don't do it, but I am going to be cognizant of just making sure I don't exhibit the behavior that I don't do. It's kind of odd. Like, what? It's not even remotely a nanospeck in my DNA to act like that. I was raised way better than that. So I think it's feedback for me of just saying someone doesn't like me or whatever, the way I conduct myself or something. But whoever this person is, and I don't know who it is, and this is not I'm not going to go out a witch hunt to find out who it is because I actually don't give a shit. I have other things I need to do with my life. But there is somebody at work that just will not give me the common courtesy to have a conversation with me. And I find that sad. I try and make myself as open as possible to anybody and everybody. I don't claim to be perfect. So if I'm doing something wrong, please tell me. I'm more than happy to hear that feedback. We can have a conversation, and potentially it's going to be a personality trait that you just don't like, but it's not intentional. It's just how I conduct myself, right? And so I don't know. That was the weirdest part of my feedback. So just getting it out, like I said, I needed to get it out of my mind and stuff like that. But it's really weird. So I don't know. That was the most weirdest part of my feedback. Part number 2, it said, as far as my performance, one of the feedbacks was saying, just make sure you're not going so fast that you leave other teammates behind. And I was like, okay, I could see that. And, it's another way. I've heard this feedback in before. All thrust, no vector. I do tend to take action pretty quick. And because when I see something and I see the stars aligned, I have that energy. I want to get shit done today. Like, I have a sense of urgency because I want to make sure. And usually it's a sense of urgency because I'm talking with people and there's some sort of subject matter that is going to have a profound positive impact to the overall team. So if I'm in a position to say something, I'm going to say something. And I'm not going to necessarily wait for the perfect answer and the perfect solution. I'm going to start talking about it and then maybe even bringing more people into the conversation so we collectively can come up with an optimal solution, right? And so that feedback was aimed at just some people, especially in a joint environment, not everybody has the same cyber environment, right? So even including me, right? I know I have a certain kind of skill sets that other people don't have on the team. And one of them is I'm not the most technically astute. That's never been my skill set. I've been more of a people and operational kind of level kind of guy. And so, but we have a lot of technical people there. And so when other people, if there's a misalignment in that, I don't do it as far as trying to leave you behind. But if they don't understand, I need to make sure I take the time to make sure everybody on the team understands where we're going. And that's fair feedback. And I do need to do, so I work hard on trying to offer up, hey, so you want to have a phone call? I can go over this thing with you. Just meet me in my office or whatever it is, and try and offer as many opportunities as possible to keep the team together. But depending on what's going on, if the timeline requires we got to move, we're moving. I'm not going to wait until perfect. And so we can get those things done. I think I have a good sense of when that happens. And so it was just a reminder to make sure that I'm cognizant of that and trying not to leave anybody behind. So I think that was good feedback for me. And then the third one was, so I mentioned about being my package going up for SDE. So this is my last look. And the feedback essentially was like, hey, so you're going to get pushed, but it's probably not going to be a strong push and you're probably not going to make it. I was like, okay, That's fair. And I understood that. Like, I do think my chances of getting picked up for school are very, very slim. And I'm personally okay with that, even on my last look. Part of that is because I think timing wise, it would have worked better if I got picked up last year and I would have moved this summer. Timing wise for my family, it would have been better, I should say. And so, as far as the program, stuff like that, they're all interesting and stuff. But like SDE and getting selected for school, while that's a great accomplishment and it definitely sets you on a certain path for success in the Air Force. It's not you don't need it. It's not necessary. Like I've worked for 06s who didn't go to any school at all. The only school in residence they went to was SOS. So clearly, if my goal is making 06, which it is my primary goal, SDE is not a requirement of that. I did it by correspondence already. I did it the same year I graduated from Command and Staff College. So like, I've already checked the official box the Air Force needs. Going in residence is not that big a deal. And so like when that feedback was given back to me, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's realistic too. Like I know based on my records and the people who get selected for that, I don't think my records are strong enough. And that's okay. I'm not self-eliminating. I still turn in a package and we'll see what's going to happen. But like, it's not, my heart is not broken because of those things. So when the senior Air Force leadership was talking to our deputy commander, so our 1-star, right now he is the one who currently signs off on all as our senior rater for some of our packages. Hopefully it's going to change when Lieutenant General Skinner comes on board at the end of the month. It was like, hey, so this is Gabe's last look for school. And then just as a reminder, this is his, he's in the zone for 06 this year too. And the response from the 1-star is like, Gabe is? Really? He's like, yes, sir. Huh. He doesn't act like a guy who's about to meet his board. And so that feedback came back to me. And the way they said, they were kind of like trying to cage it. Like, he's not saying you're immature. I was like, he could be saying that. I mean, like the way I conduct myself, maybe he is saying that, but they inferred that's not what they meant. I think they were surprised that it's kind of odd. Like, what is a 05 supposed to be acting like if they're in the zone for 06? Like in my head, I was like, am I supposed to be a undercutting 05, trying to just kind of like move all my peers out of the way because to make sure I shine and I get myself into best position to make 06? Is that what everybody should be acting like? I don't know. Is it where I should be like this? I don't know, like a weird, stereotypical old crusty 05 out there trying to do stuff, and I'm like all ornery about things and like shaking my fist at the air. Like, is that what an 05 about to meet his 06 board is supposed to look like? I don't know. It was an odd comment, but I do think it's definitely reflective of I don't conduct myself in a positive way. I took it as I don't conduct myself as a typical field grade officer, as a lieutenant colonel or a major or otherwise. Like, I just carry myself a little bit differently because I like to be a positive person all the time. Like, there's work is going to suck. You're going to have the ups and downs. There's going to be those times you got to grind. Why can't you just laugh? I'll find any opportunity to make the team laugh. A little distracting, but again, back on task. My work has never faulted of that. My work is 100%. I'm putting all in what I can to my work. And so it's not that. I'm a little bit lighthearted. I don't mind. The other part, I think, is I'm not afraid to. So maybe an 05 who is ready to meet their 06 board is as cautious as possible. I am not that. To the point where like they're cautious because they're trying to make themselves in the best position to get selected, right? And not do anything wrong in front of leadership to get a lower ranking or something like that. Like, no, you're supposed to act like you're supposed to act all the time, and you do the right thing. And so I joked around. I said, a lot of times right now in the headquarters, we're in the hallways amongst action officers. We're talking about it, complaining about stuff. And then I'm like, wait, we all think about like this? Yes. We all think we should do this. I'm like, well, then why do we bring it up? Like, it's not going to be taken well. And so like I end up being the quote unquote hold my beer guy because I'm the only one like with the sand to go say something. Be like, hey, if we're all thinking about, if it makes you feel better, I'll say it. Do you want me to say it? Yes. Okay, sure. I'll bring up the idea. And as soon as I put the idea out, people are like, yeah. What Colonel Avila said. I'm like, I don't want to be like, yo, fucker said that in the hallway, like outside. But it's weird where some people just are not comfortable as far as, I don't want to say going against the system because that's what I'm talking about, but just trying to find when you see something wrong or when you know things could be done a little bit better, be a disruptive, like disruptive energy, but positive disruptive energy, right? You want it like, well, this is the way we've always done it. Well, that's stupid. Stop doing it like that if it doesn't make sense or you don't know why you're doing it. Let's analyze that. And you should value yourself more than just accepting things the way they are. And so like there's definitely a certain form and structure to a military organization, but there's a lot of nuances in there that we can actually change for the better of people. And I'm always trying to find ways to make the team more efficient. I'm always trying to find solutions that are not at the expense of our workforce. We're trying to promote talent management. All the things it's people. That's always thing I'm going to be siding on, right? And so understanding that you're going to have the ebb and flow of sacrifices. Some days are going to be long. Some days you need to deploy or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, noted. That's just regular part of the job. But like, there's no reason why you shouldn't, if you have the capacity to help your team, why wouldn't you make those changes and take those action plans? So, yeah, he doesn't act like a guy who's meeting his 06 board. I don't really know what that means. Am I not supposed to get tattoos? Am I not supposed to get third in the Baltimore Open and be a good weightlifter? Am I not supposed to really, really enjoy watching Marvel movies with my family? I don't know what that means. All that means is all being said, right? All the feedback coming online, it's settling. It's settling into I'm going to meet my 06 board in July, and then what's going to happen is going to happen, right? As much as I believe in myself that I know I can do and perform at the next level, my records and the board is going to be what determines that fate. And if I make it over that 50-something%, hopefully, whatever that is, I mean, I get that opportunity, I'm going to kick ass at it. I know I am. But like, I am nervous. I am nervous as far as like, you can call it success, is just my path. Whatever has led me to this point, I have to own all my choices, and it's going to culminate into that thing. And it's going to be a significant emotional event for me. And I'm nervous about it, regardless of people are going to be like, oh, you're a shoo-in. Like, nobody knows. Maybe like there's a bunch of alphas out there that are just awesome. And then I am just not that much. I'm a lowercase alpha. It is what it is, right? Not everybody's going to make it. That's just the way the world works, or the Air Force works, or the military works. Excuse me. So I'm nervous, but I'm not going to stop doing what I need to do. I'm going to remain myself, try and become a better leader every day, do the right thing for my team, understand that it's not all about me, it's about the team, and conduct myself the way I know a leader should be conducting himself, because I got to stay true. So again, guided my emotions a little bit this episode. A lot of stuff that I talked about, but like I said, it's very therapeutic for me to share my thoughts for you. I think that, especially for any officers, you can say a junior or a senior officer we're all going through these things. If I can share my stories and let you know that all of us are thinking of the same things, no one's impervious to this entire system. I'm definitely not that. So I'll offer up my advice to you to remain true. You know exactly who you are and the things you need to do to be a good leader in this Air Force. So make sure you do them. So, all right. Team, thanks for tuning in this week, and we're going to talk to you guys next week. Peace.